Hey, welcome to my video. If you're from my Instagram, I love you, and if you're not from my Instagram, love you all the same. So today I'm gonna be talking about my first impression with Invisalign. I've had it for a week now, and I'm just gonna talk to you about my first impression with it and what my experience has been like thus far. So if that seems like your cup of tea, then please keep watching. So, little disclaimer before we begin. I am not a dentist, I'm not an orthodontist, I'm not a professional in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here to tell you my real life human experiences, but I'm not here to offer any kind of help or advice, nor do I think you should be taking it from me or from anybody else on the internet. If you are thinking about getting Invisalign, or if you have any further questions, then consult a professional, not people on the internet. Okay, with that being said, let's get into everything. So, a little backstory about me. I've never had braces of any kind. Unfortunately, the funds were just never funding, you know what I mean? And so finally I said I have to allocate the funds to get me an Invisalign girly, and so that's exactly what I did. So I went for a consultation. Basically, they told me that they have like 3 levels or 3 dental plans for the Invisalign. They have like an easy plan, an intermediate one, or a difficult one. After assessing me and my mouth, my teeth, my habits, etc., they thought that I would be best suited for the intermediate plan. And that's what I ended up with. So for me, this means that I got 20 aligners plus 2 more sets of 20 aligners each, but that's only if necessary. They told me that they don't really think I'll personally be needing that many, but we'll see about that later down the line. But 20 I will go through for sure because they sent me home with 20 aligners already, so let me talk to you about them. So let's start with actually getting the first set of aligners, which I still have in my mouth right now, put in. So how that went was, I went to the dentist's office a couple months before and they made a 3D scan, I believe is what it's called, but I'm not a professional again, so I'm not sure the exact terminology, but they did make a 3D scan of, you know, my whole teeth, and that's what they actually used to custom make your aligners to your teeth. Now, I had to wait for them to arrive. That was about a month and a half, give or take, and then I went back into the office for them to fit my first set of aligners in my mouth. So when I got there, they put in my aligner attachments first. Now, I don't know if you've seen these or not. Some people, I'm told, don't have the need to get these, but I was told that based on the movements that my teeth will need to go through, I will be needing them. So they just put them on my teeth first. Now, when they did that, it didn't literally hurt at all. The only thing is when you go over them with your tongue, they do feel kind of sharp. I'm told that they will become softer over time, the more food I eat and the more drinks I drink, but otherwise it didn't hurt. And then they also put the actual aligners in me as well. That process, it didn't hurt at all either. Overall, I was at the dentist's office for about 45-minute tops and I wasn't in pain at all. Then they basically just showed me how to remove them and how to put them in, and that was that. I was off. So now for my experience, I got them put in at about like 1 p.m. on a Monday and everything was fine. Later that night though, while I was taking them out to eat, I did actually notice how tight they actually feel on my teeth. Now, this is not something that I noticed before, and it's also not something that I actively notice while I'm wearing them. So for example, right now they are in, but I wouldn't be able to tell you that they're tight. I wouldn't know that they're doing anything. I really don't feel anything at all. But the only time I actually do notice is when I put them in for the first 10 minutes after that, or immediately after I take them out. With that being said, it doesn't hurt, it's not painful. It sort of feels more like if you were to wear a tight t-shirt, but just on your teeth. So yeah, day 1 in the evening, that's sort of what I felt. As soon as I took them out, I was like, okay, this is tight. It seems to be doing something, since that's what I feel, but it wasn't feeling like a traditional toothache or tooth pain, because those are literally the worst, girl. Like, you can't do anything. This is not that at all. I will say day 1 and maybe a part of day 2, I did personally feel like I was producing more spit than I normally do. This also happens to some people as well. I wasn't alone. Now, granted, I wasn't like drooling or dribbling. It really really wasn't that bad, but it just felt like it in my mouth. I know that's a little TMI and gross, but like, what are we talking about here? You know, I have to give you all the details. But yeah, that only lingered for like 2 days tops, and then everything went back to normal. Also, for like the first 2 days, my lips did feel a little bit dry, but with a constant rubbing, that's completely expected as well. Another thing that lingered on for the first 2 days was honestly tooth sensitivity, and that was probably the most inconvenient out of all of them. So my teeth felt really sensitive if I was eating or drinking something super hot or super cold, so I just decided to call it and like have room temperature things at that time, which by the way, room temperature water is really not the tea. So thank God that only lasted for the first 2 days. Now, another thing that probably lasted for the first 2 days was something that was kind of inconvenient as well. And that was, I was blissfully unaware, and I just thought that as soon as I pop out my aligners, I'm ready to eat, right? Well, I did that and then discovered how actually wrong I was. Chewing turned out to be really painful because, as I said, my teeth were really sensitive. So I contacted some of my friends who also have Invisalign to ask them what I should do. And they told me to take out my aligners, wait a few minutes, and then start eating. Now, for me, this worked, although I will say that it is kind of inconvenient because honestly, for the first 2 days, I had to wait like 25 minutes before I felt good eating, and even at that point I was in just a little bit of pain. But now present day, I'm at like 10 minutes. So while I'm preparing my food, 10 minutes before it's finished, I pop out my Invisalign and then I eat and normally put them back on immediately after, and everything's fine. I'm not in pain anymore. Also yesterday, I will say that I did sneak a little bit of chocolate into my mouth immediately after taking out my Invisalign, and I really wasn't in pain either. So I'm curious to see how this will continue. I wonder if when I put my new set of aligners in tomorrow, whether or not I'll be feeling the same way for the first 2 days as I did for these 2 days, but I will keep you updated on that. Now, I probably won't keep you updated like this via long form every single week because I don't know that there will be much to update like that. But periodically, every once in a while, when I feel like I do have more and new things to say, I will make a video about it. But basically, I will let you know how that goes. Now, last thing, as you've probably been able to tell, I do have a little bit of a lisp going on, which I don't normally have. Now, obviously that's fine, but it is something to note. When I don't wear my Invisalign, I don't have a lisp, and then when I put it back in, I do. However, again, the first 2 days, that was kind of more heavy. Now I feel like it's not as noticeable. So yeah, it's really not that big of a deal, although I am really curious as to see whether or not this is something that will completely disappear the more I get used to speaking with my Invisalign in or not. But again, I will let you know. So to sum up, I really haven't been in much pain thus far. Only tooth sensitivity, which I notice if I'm drinking or eating, period, but especially if I'm drinking or eating something cold. And I'm also sleeping completely normally. I'm doing everything normally. I was able to work completely fine. And this is maybe the week that I was expecting that I would be in the most pain, since it is sort of an adjustment period, but I really haven't experienced anything that bad thus far. So all in all, I'm pretty satisfied so far. The only thing that I really wasn't that ecstatic about when they told me at the dentist was that you have to brush your aligners. Now, before I get called a messy girl, okay, before you call the messy police, let me tell you about why I wasn't ecstatic about that. They told me that I really wasn't supposed to wash it out with anything or brush it with toothpaste even. So it didn't seem all that hygienic to me because, I mean, this is something that is in my mouth for 22 hours a day. And even though I never put it in before I brushed my teeth, I mean, bacteria still collects there. So I was kind of iffy about the whole thing. It did seem a little bit gross to me because I'm not trying to develop more cavities and teeth problems while I wear this thing. So I want to show you one thing that I did end up ordering to hopefully maybe sort of combat that. Now, this isn't an ad, nor is it PR. This company doesn't know that I exist. I paid with my own money. This is also not a recommendation for me since I just got this in a couple of days ago and I'm not really even sure if it works yet, but I feel like it has good potential, and if it does work, if I do notice a big difference, I will also update you on that in the later videos as well. But yeah, basically I got this like dental pod for cleaning your aligners. Now, it supposedly uses sound waves to eliminate like 99% of bacteria on the aligners. Even for me personally, if it doesn't eliminate 99% of bacteria, even if it's just a small percentage, that gives me personally more peace of mind. So I did decide to purchase that. I did also check with my personal dentist and orthodontist as to whether or not I'm allowed to put my Invisalign in here, because I'm really not trying to use anything that would damage my Invisalign. And they said that as long as I use cold water, it should be completely fine. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of days. It does, like I said, give me peace of mind. I'm not sure on whether or not it works. I imagine this is something that I will really feel good about once I actually, for example, go to some events and maybe drink coffee or some other really colorful drinks, because supposedly this dental pod cleans a lot of stains off of your aligners. So if that works, that's amazing. I'm not sure though, but I will let you know all of my experiences in the future. But I feel like for now, this is it. I feel like I covered everything. If you do have any other questions or are curious about, my treatment, you can leave those in the comments below and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. But again, if you need help, don't seek out help from people on the internet. Go to an actual doctor, dentist, orthodontist, whatever. If you made it this far, thank you so much. And if you like this video, then please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!